composition of shapes. Area of irregular shapes. Our first step is to separate the irregular shape into shapes with known formulas. And our step 2 will be to add the area of the shapes together. So let's look at example 1. Find the area of the shape below. So you can see that we have 3 different shapes that we can separate this into. We have our top triangle, our bottom right triangle, and then our square. So let's go ahead and start calculating this all out of each one. So let's do the square first, or the parallelogram, which is really just base times height, which is equal to the area. So we have 1 times 1, which is then 1 millimeters squared. So that will be our area of the square. Next, let's do the top triangle. Now we remember that to find the area of a triangle is 1/2 times base times the height. So this would then be 1/2. Now this base is just 1 millimeter. So we put in 1, and then our height is 2. So 1/2 times 1 times 2, this 2 and this 2 will cancel out, and so we're left with just 1 millimeters squared. So let's do bottom triangle now. So the area is equal to 1/2, now times the base. This base stays the same as 1 millimeter, so it's just 1, times our height, which this height here is what forms this, which forms a right angle with the base. So that's 3. So let's go ahead and calculate that out. We have 1 times 3, which is 3, divided by 2, which is 1.5. And this is millimeters squared. So our last step is to add all of them together. So we have 1 plus 1 plus 1.5, which is equal to 3.5 millimeters squared. And this would be our final area of the whole shape. Let's go ahead and look at another example. Find the area of the shape below. So you can see we have 3 different shapes that we could separate this into. We have a half a sphere, a rectangle, and a triangle. So let's go ahead and find the area of this circle. So the circle is pi r squared. So we have the diameter, so we need to just divide it by 2, which is 2. So this becomes pi 2 squared. So we can go 3.14, or we can find the pi button, either one, times 2 times 2, which is equal to 12.56. This is millimeters squared. Now, 12.56 is the area of a full circle. What we have, though, is just half a circle. So what we need to do is then divide by 2. And this gets us to 6.28 millimeters squared. So area of half circle. Next, let's find the area of a rectangle. So this is base times the height. So our base is 10 and our height is here, which is 4. So this is equal to 40 millimeters squared. Next, let's find the area of a triangle, which is equal to 1/2 base times the height. So we have 1/2. Now our base here for this triangle is 5, and our height is 4. So we can go ahead and get our calculators out. So we have 4 times 5, which is 20, divided by 2, so we're left with 10 millimeters squared. So altogether, we need to add this number, and this number together to get the shape. To get the area of the whole shape. So we find 6.28 plus 40 plus 10, which is then equal to 56.28 millimeters squared. And if you're not quite sure, we can always add, as 40 plus 10 was 50, plus that 6.28, which is 56. So that's how we solved for it. But we can always just confirm. Which is 56.28.